Hello, welcome to this video. This is Lenin Kumar Gandhi, Grade 10 CBSE Mathematics, Polynomials. In this session, we are going to discuss about relationship between zeros and coefficients of a polynomial. Now coming to this, we have already discussed about zeros. Now we are going to see how the zeros and coefficients of a polynomial or the constants in the polynomial are connected. Let's start with a linear polynomial. If I take a linear polynomial ax plus b, then in this case my 0 is very simple. It comes out to be minus b by a. So here minus of b refers to the constant term because here it's a constant. So minus times the constant term, and down my a refers to the coefficient of x because this simply is a coefficient of x. So this is a coefficient of x. Therefore, my 0 of a linear polynomial would be, for the linear polynomial ax plus b, would be minus the constant term by coefficient of x. So this is how the 0 and the terms of the polynomial are connected. Next, if you look at next example like a quadratic, say for example I take a quadratic equation ax squared plus bx plus c. So in this case, let's see how the zeros are connected. Now clearly we know that a quadratic with the power 2 has two zeros. So there are two zeros which we are looking at. So let the two zeros be, say, alpha and beta. So if my two zeros are alpha and beta, then let's see how the zeros alpha and beta are connected with the constants a, b, and c. So let's see this. Now clearly when I see this, here comes that when I add up the roots, or when I call this as sum of zeros, in this case would be alpha plus beta, and this would be minus b by a, is how we come to the formula. That is, indirectly, b being the coefficient of x, so therefore this being x, so this is coefficient of x, so minus times coefficient of x by a is nothing but the coefficient of x squared. So I clearly have coefficient of x squared down here. So my sum of roots for a quadratic equation is nothing but negative times coefficient of x by coefficient of x squared. To share, if I take an example, say 3x squared minus 2x plus 1, then clearly my sum of roots for this quadratic would directly be minus of the coefficient of x being this, the coefficient of x being this, and then divided by coefficient of x squared being 3, and hence I get my denominator as 3. Therefore this would be 4 by 3. So my sum of roots is nothing but 4 by 3. Similarly, for the quadratic equation ax squared plus bx plus c in its general form has its product of zeros or product of roots. So let's see what the product of zeros refers to. So the product of zeros being the multiplication of the zeros alpha and beta is nothing but given by the formula c by a. Sum of roots given by the formula minus b by a, and product of roots given by the formula c by a is how we learn in polynomials. Now this is nothing but, when you look at c, it's clearly the constant term. Here lies the constant term c, and a is nothing but the coefficient of x square. And therefore, if I just use this in general form of understanding the polynomial coefficients, this would be a constant term divided by coefficient of x square is how I understand the product of roots. So if I take the same example, 3x square minus 2x plus 1, then for this quadratic, my product of roots would directly be constant term by coefficient of x square. So here comes the constant term, and here comes the coefficient of x square. So I have constant by coefficient of x square. So product of roots is 1 by 3 for this quadratic, and sum of roots is 4 by 3 for the same quadratic. Is how we understand the sum of zeros and product of zeros of a quadratic polynomial. Next comes for cubic. So let's see how we can identify the sum of roots or zeros and product of zeros for a cubic polynomial. So let me first consider a cubic polynomial in general form. We all know a cubic polynomial has a degree 3, and therefore if I take the polynomial p of x as ax cubed plus bx square plus cx plus d. Now clearly it has the coefficients or constants a, b, c and d. So let's see now, before going to connect these zeros with the coefficients of a cubic polynomial, now clearly this is a cubic polynomial with degree 3, therefore the zeros of this would be 3 in number. So there are 3 zeros for this polynomial because of its degree being 3. So let those 3 zeros be alpha, beta and gamma. So let's see how the alpha, beta, gamma assumed as the zeros for a cubic polynomial are connected with its constants. So initially starting with sum of roots. So sum of zeros denoted by alpha plus beta plus gamma, summing up the 3 zeros, would be nothing but minus b by a, that is minus b, that is coefficient of x square by coefficient of x cubed. This is how I get my sum of zeros. Now let's see the product of zeros. So if I want the product of zeros, then this is alpha, beta, gamma, and this is nothing but given by the formula negative times constant by a, and therefore this would be minus times the constant term divided by a, that is coefficient of x cubed. So and so on. Now here, when it comes to the cubic polynomial, you also have the product of zeros taken in pairs. Now first I take the product alpha beta and beta gamma and alpha gamma and sum up. So if I have a relation like alpha beta plus beta gamma plus alpha gamma, then this is nothing but minus, it's plus c divided by a. So c by a is what we get here. This is what is the formula for this. Now c being coefficient of x, in general form we understand this as coefficient of x by a, which is coefficient of x cube, is how we understand the three different cases arising with three zeros alpha, beta and gamma and connected with the constants a, b, c and d. So relation between zeros and coefficients of the polynomial is how between the two contents. If I take one example, say for example I take a cubic polynomial 2x cubed minus 4x squared plus 9x minus 8, then in this case clearly my a is 2, so here comes my a, here comes my b, here comes my c and here comes my d, and therefore if I wanted to find the sum of roots, then alpha, beta, gamma assumed as the zeros, this would be nothing but minus b by a, so minus b by a, so this is 2. And if I wanted to find alpha, beta, gamma, the product of roots is minus d by a, so minus d by a, which is 4. If I wanted to also find the pair alpha, beta, beta, gamma and alpha, gamma summed up, so I get this to be alpha, beta plus beta, gamma plus alpha, gamma is nothing but c by a, so this would be 9 by 2 or 4.5 is how we understand the zeros of a polynomial and its coefficients, very much connected to each other. Thank you. This session is from Lenin Kumar Gandhi. See you in the next video. Bye.